Mary, there's a great question from St. Paul. St. Paul, Paul, do you have one of those prayer candles, the Stormy Daniels and the Robert Mueller prayer candles? That's my question for you. But viewer question from St. Paul. Those of you tuning in, thanks for joining our YouTube live stream, Trump on Trial Inside the Courtroom. Whew. So St. Paul has a great question, and I'm going to pose this to Mary. How impactful was the audio captured by Michael Cohen? St. Paul, that's a very, very elegant way of explaining what happened. And to refresh everybody's recollection, this was yesterday's testimony. Sounds crazy, but it's been a lot. Yesterday, Michael Cohen saying that he secretly recorded Donald Trump in Trump Tower, in Trump's office, with his cell phone on the Notes app. So for those of you that are wondering how that happened, and during that recorded audio call, well, you know what? Actually, what am I saying? Let's just play the sounds, and then Mary will ask you to talk about it when we get on the other side of it.
I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with
So what are we going to
funding. Yes. And it's all the stuff. All the stuff, because you never know where that company, you never know what he's going to be. Correct. So I'm all over that. And I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
I'll pay the cash.
No. I got no.
I mean, in the courtroom listening to that, and for those of you that are tuning in, I want to give you guys context. The audio is loud. You could hear it. It's Donald Trump's voice. Can't say it's not. Clearly Michael Cohen's voice. And then at the same time, the transcript of the audio, just in case you were struggling to maybe hear it or understand it, the transcript was displayed on a screen for the jurors to follow along and read while the audio is being played. It's an incredibly effective tool as a trial lawyer. Mary, I mean, isn't this the smoking gun? I mean, we talk about the bank statement for, Essential Consultants LLC with the Weisselberg chicken scratch to the 420 gross up and et cetera. But I mean, this audio is damning.
I mean, it's just unbelievable that we're waiting for a verdict. It's so frustrating. We have so much evidence, not just in this case. I'm thinking of all the other cases too. Like in every other case except this one, we've seen him or heard him commit the crimes. In this case, as I've mentioned earlier, Michael Cohen has already been convicted for a crime that he committed on behalf of Donald Trump, who was committing a crime. And this audio is just, it's overkill in a way, but if it's not the nail in the coffin, I don't know what is. Katie, we are, the prosecution has such a superabundance of evidence here. And I think that it's absolutely correct that hearing it, just as for various reasons, having the prosecution read the transcript of the Access Hollywood tape was just so effective. I mean, and in this particular case, I think it was important to hear Donald because he's admitting that he knows, he's admitting that this evidence contradicts everything else he's been saying, that he doesn't know anything about it, that he never met Stormy Daniels, all that other stuff. And you also get to hear the element that Christy was talking about earlier, just the thuggishness, the knowing thuggishness of these people. I cannot imagine anything else that could have more impact than something like this testimony. I mean, this recording.
And Mary, did you hear, because I saw it, I read it, and I heard it, Donald Trump's like very casually like, yeah, maybe he'll get hit by a bus or something. I mean, it was just... Is that the new, I'll take him out at the news, hit him by a bus. But I wanted to stay on this for a second with you, Mary, because it's not just that audio. If we pull up graphic 3 for the screen, we had it on for a second there. Mary, there's also 11 checks for $35,000 each made payable to Michael Cohen, some of which were drawn on the Donald J. Trump revocable trust account, but the other one's coming from the personal account of Donald Trump. Michael Cohen today on direct examination, Mary, walking through each and every check stub to show that it was a lie. All the check stubs saying it was for legal fees is a lie. Do you think that if you're a juror on this trial, Mary, and you're looking at who the defendant is, which is Donald Trump, and you're looking at the flawed Michael Cohen, who's on a redemption tour, does this make you worried at all anymore about the credibility of Michael Cohen when you see stuff like this, when you hear the audio and you see the checks?
No, I have to be honest, and I'm not objective, obviously, but
put your objective hat on.
All right, I'll try. But I don't think the credibility of Michael Cohen matters at this point.
Yeah.
Who cares if he lies about other stuff? It is entirely irrelevant. The only thing that shocks me about the checks is that none of them were from the U.S. Treasury. But Donald was writing those checks not just to cover an expense that was not a legal expense. He was, in Cohen's words, grossing up the amount, which just makes it so much worse. So no, I think Michael Cohen has evidence to back him up. It doesn't matter if he's lied in the past. It doesn't matter what his relationship with Donald was like, really. We have a paper trail. We have audio recordings. I cannot imagine that anybody comes away with this with any doubt in their mind, reasonable or otherwise.
Yeah. So, Christy, there's a Vera question. Is it Matthew? Matthew 1. It's like, oh, we're going biblical now. How fast will the jury take to deliberate? Oh, good question. Because Matthew 1, if Christy can answer this question, I'm going to bottle her up and sell her and make a lot of money, because nobody knows how long juries will deliberate. But let's tee this one up, Christy. My first question to you: do you need Alan Weisselberg now?
No, and he's never going to testify. I mean, neither side is going to call him. He's in jail right now for committing perjury again. So we're not going to see Alan Weisselberg. Okay. In terms of how long will it take? Yes, I don't know. However, rule of thumb is if they take very little time, that's good for the state. If they are out deliberating for days, that is bad for the state. That's good for the defense. You do have two lawyers on that jury, and so they may take some time going through the instructions, going through the law here, how you get from the misdemeanor to the felony, the two different crimes. So look, I don't know that it will be super quick, but just for that reason alone, I think that understanding sort of the law and how it applies here, the lawyers on the jury may take some time with that.
So let's stay, Christy, with the question from Dark Pepsi. Never had Dark Pepsi. What's the next stage after Michael Cohen's testimony? Great question. Again, we heard the prosecution saying Michael Cohen's their last witness. So, Christy, walk our viewers that are tuning into our live stream. If you're the defense and the prosecution, what's the next step? Is it a motion for judgment of acquittal from the defense? And if so, what does that mean?
Yeah, so they will make their motions once the prosecution formally rests, says they're done, they don't have any witnesses, the defense will pop up. I think you'll get motions for mistrials, additional things where they're saying there's been all kinds of error that is irreversible, and I anticipate they will also ask for, that right after the prosecutor sits down, they will ask those questions. They will try to ask for, the case to be thrown out, to be dismissed. And, I don't see the judge doing that at all. So I don't think there's any real need to worry about that. And then once those motions are dealt with, then I think the defense has at least one witness. I think it's unclear exactly who that witness will be. Perhaps it will be, I had heard rumblings that it may be, legal counsel for the Trump organization. But, who knows? They haven't publicly said who that will be yet.
Yeah, Mary, great question from viewer Yasmin. And folks, drop those questions into the chat. We're getting to them. Mary, this is actually perfect for you. Where is Don Jr. and Ivanka? Why is only Eric there? Again, I stand by my theory. Eric lost the rock, paper, scissors war. But where is Don Jr. and Ivanka? This is a criminal trial. Their father's looking at 34 felonies. I mean, we know why Melania's not there, let's be honest. But where's Don Jr. and Ivanka?
I think that the reasons are different. Ivanka made the calculation a long time ago that it was not in her best interest to remain in any way associated with the rest of her family. She doesn't need them. All of these relationships are transactional, and she is a legitimately wealthy person because of the person she's married to. She doesn't need Donald for anything, and she's not going to show up in a courtroom to support him, especially in a case that is so, seriously, at its base, just so depressingly tawdry. Donnie, on the other hand, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe Eric drew the short straw because it doesn't really make sense that it's just him and not both of them, or vice versa. The truth of the matter is that if Donald wanted all of them there, maybe with the exception of Ivanka, they would be there. But he doesn't care if they're there or not. He's much more disturbed by the absence of crowds outside rallying in his defense, which is why we're seeing this parade of increasingly pathetic and sycophantic members of Congress who should be, as Brian said, maybe governing, but are taking time out of their apparently not very busy days to help undermine Americans' confidence in the rule of law. But, you know, whether Eric, Donnie, Ivanka, that's irrelevant to Donald. He needs his narcissistic needs are much greater than that. So somebody else is going to have to make him feel better on that score. But it's just it's a pretty obviously transactional family, and if they're not getting anything out of it, there's no reason for them to be there.